Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for spending time with me again today. I'm really excited to be chatting with Sheena Ridley, who is a fantastic artist. So, Sheena, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and why you do it?
I paint and I sculpt, and I've always painted and always made things with my hands.
Hmm.
So I suppose it's why I do it is it's in me. It has to get out there. It's my way of communicating, I suppose,
Mm.
and expressing feelings and sharing things that I've seen and sharing the lights. Yeah.
And where did you learn your art? Did you study at university or are you self-taught?
I did study for a couple of years at university. Um, I didn't do art in high school, as in we didn't have it in high school, but in junior school, a lot of art, yes. And I also worked for CAPAB doing the backdrops of the theatres. So that I learned a lot through that.
That must have been an amazing part of your career.
It was fantastic. Yes, yes, very, very diverse.
Mm,
And you had to learn to use the strangest materials.
mm, And was it very deadline driven?
Yes, it was. Yes, if they had a production coming up, we had so many weeks to get these enormous canvases. I mean, the whole warehouse floor was your canvas.
Mm, mm. It must
Yeah,
be very exciting working on canvases on that scale.
very. As you can imagine, it's the visual is quite different and quite difficult
Mm,
because it's flat on the ground and it's 30 meters by 20 meters or something,
mm.
and it's yeah, and you've got to be able to scale with your eyes and with we could draw out blocks to scale up properly for the designs.
Mm.
um, yeah, and a lot of it comes out in my paintings, that my paintings often look much better from a distance than
Ah,
close up. Yeah, I mean close up they're quite detailed but they don't make sense.
okay.
uh, yeah, yeah.
That's very interesting. And do you miss doing that kind of work?
I do, in that we were using so many different materials.
Mm,
And you had to, like when we did the set for the Road to Mecca for Fugard's about Helen Martin. um, we had to create the walls to look as if they were crushed glass, but we couldn't use crushed glass because if the actors touched it they would have cut themselves.
mm.
So we had to use other, we found quite a sharp sand and mirror paper and stain. Yeah.
That's fascinating. And do
And
you use any unusual materials in your current works?
I do with my sculptures. When I build up an armature for a bronze sculpture, I've learned you can use absolutely anything as an armature,
Okay.
and I teach that to my students when I do sculpture courses here.
Okay, so you currently teach courses.
Yeah, yeah, I do 5-day and 3-day sculpture courses on site here.
Okay, and tell us where you are.
I'm in the Boer Langkloof, which is it's 80 kilometers from George, inland from George.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, just between the Oceanic Mountains and the Kamanasi.
Oh, what a beautiful place to be.
It's a magic valley, and the specific space where I live, I'm on a little hill called Lonely Hill,
Mhm.
and it looks down the valley down to De Vlucht. So yeah, it's very beautiful here.
Yes, I recently drove through that area and it's absolutely magical.
Yes, especially after our rain.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm. And what sort of topics do you kind of select for your artworks?
I paint very much landscapes, people in the landscapes. I go out and I drive around and I sketch. I only work from my sketches, and yeah, so it's all local area things. If I go somewhere else, like down to the coast, I'll do a few sketches there.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and sculptures I work with again through sketches, and it could just be a shadow I see or a form, and I'll
Mm.
work. Yeah, it's quite a different thought process.
Mm. Mm. And your workshops, tell us more about those. How many people are in your workshops? What sort of things do you teach them?
Um, well, my sculptures, my large sculptures are made with cement, so I weld up a steel armature and mesh and fibers and all sorts of things in the cement, and so I teach them how to weld, how to use the angle grinder, and how that whole process works. So they make a sculpture themselves within 5 days
Mm.
with a bit of help from me.
Mm.
And I keep them very small, to up to 2 people, because of the safety aspect with the angle grinder. And it's quite intense. It's a lot of hard work, and if I find if I have more students, they can't keep up.
Mm.
So it's yeah.
Mm.
So that particular course is only 2 students. The other course I do is a 3-day where we make a maquette. Can I show you what a maquette is?
Yes, please.
Just bear with me. So this is a maquette. It's a small sculpture.
If you can hold it up a
Um,
little.
yeah.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. Right, so this is a clay maquette. I worked with this one with clay. Um, and a maquette is an idea for a larger sculpture or an unfinished sculpture.
Okay.
So this is in clay. If I wanted to make it into bronze, I could call this a maquette because it's not finished, it's still clay.
Mm.
So I would take this to the foundry and they would mold it, take a mold of it, and then cast in that mold, do the bronze casting.
Okay.
That would be a completed one.
Okay.
The,
Okay.
the other way a maquette can be used is if you're wanting to make if you're wanting to make a 3 meter large sculpture,
Yes.
it's quite wise to make a small one first
Yes.
and then enlarge it, or
Yes.
remake it in a larger form.
Yes.
So in that way, that small one's also a maquette.
Okay. Okay. That kind of makes sense. I've always wondered how people work on scale without getting the proportions all weird.
Well, nowadays, a lot of sculptors will take their maquette and they will get it digitally scanned into a larger form,
Okay.
and it actually doesn't work because if you have if you have a cup and you want to make this cup 3 meters tall, it's not going to look. It won't have the visual aspect if you just digitally expand it and have it digitally made,
Mm.
because your visual from standing lower won't work the same way. So
Okay.
in the old days, they used to measure up with calipers and things, and then they would change it as they worked up. And I know Michelangelo worked differently with his David. It, it's very, yeah, it's not expanded purely by ratio.
Mm.
It's changed because visually it's different when you're shorter than the sculpture.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's really interesting. It sounds like your workshops are fairly dense.
Yeah, they're quite informative, um,
Okay.
and nobody needs experience. I've had students that don't they've never sketched, but it's wonderful to see what they create.
Okay. So
Um,
so you'll even teach somebody who can't really draw.
yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
It's I find it amazing because that they have the passion to and I think they're quite brave to just come out and stay here for a few days and create something, and it's wonderful to see what they come up with and how gifted they are.
Mm. Mm. You always kind of
Yeah.
think that it's a linear process. You've got to be able to first draw it to then be able to make a sculpture, but it must be possible to go straight to that 3D without being able to draw on the 2D.
Yes. I always say, um, I always feel that none of us knew how to read,
Mm,
but we learned.
mm.
So we can always learn how to do something. Just got
That's
to be that
amazing.
bit.
So I bet you'll work with people of all ages also.
I do restrict. I don't do younger children than 16,
Okay,
uh, purely because I have two very big dogs that don't know children.
okay.
Uh, yeah, yeah. But from then upwards, yeah.
And what's your favorite part about teaching?
Um, seeing what's the, yes, seeing how confident the students can be once a lot of them want more and more help, and I just say no, do it yourself. That's what you're here for. And then I actually just walk away, and it's lovely to see them get out of it and do it. And I come back. I say to them, "It's not my sculpture; it's yours. I'm not doing it."
Yes,
And yeah, it's great to see them how their sense of achievement once they've done it.
yes, yes.
Wonderful.
It sounds like you and I have a similar teaching style. There's always that moment where they absolutely hate you until they break through.
Oh, I've had them in tears,
Oh, shame.
and I feel terrible that I have to really walk out then.
Oh, shame. Oh, shame. But I bet the sense of achievement when they've pushed through that barrier is enormous.
Yes, yes, it's wonderful, they've always, even the one that was all teary was yeah, she loved the fact that she'd finished it, her piece, and
Mm,
it was a fact that she asked me to do the feet of her
mm,
sculpture because she was struggling, and I
mm,
said to her, "No, you've got feet. Look at your feet and do feet,
mm,
and I'll come back in half an hour."
mm.
And she did do her feet, and they were beautiful.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. That's wonderful. I love that you're teaching people how to push through their fears and their own sense that they're not enough and can't do it into that sense of empowerment that I've got it, I can do this.
yes,
It's
yes. She
beautiful.
was so proud when she took her sculpture home. She was so proud.
Oh, that's lovely. Now you have a gallery space there in the Langkloof also, don't you?
Yes, I was very fortunate. There was a ruin of a barn on the farm here,
Mm,
very close to my house,
mm,
and yeah, renovated, restored it, uh, made it much higher, and it's beautiful.
mm.
And in there is, yeah, my gallery and my sculpture studio, teaching space as well.
Okay, okay. And is it open to the public during the week?
Yes, yes. It is advisable to make an appointment, but generally when we're here, it's open.
Okay, okay. So if anybody's driving through the Langkloof, they can just pop in and take a look.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's just off the N9, so
Okay. And do you
it's close
exhibit
by.
only your own work or are you exhibiting for other artists there also?
No, I exhibit only my own work.
Okay, okay.
There's
So,
also a big. My garden's quite extensive, and I have yeah, it's a sculpture garden, so the sculptures. A lot of my, especially the cement sculptures, are outside in amongst the
okay.
plants.
And the birds by the sound of things.
And the birds are many birds. Yes, I plant for the birds.
Okay, I can hear them there in the background by you. So, if anybody is looking to get in touch with you, where can they find your gallery space online and your contact information?
I'm on Google Maps. Um, my my website is www.ridley.co.za. You can call me 083 589 2881, and I'm on Facebook under Sheena Ridley and on Instagram Sheena Ridley.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your fascinating story with us today. I'm super excited to have spoken to you today. You're the first sculptor that I've interviewed, so this is very exciting for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melanie.
And
Thanks for listening.
what do you love most about living in the Langkloof area?
It's quiet and peaceful, and it's beautiful. And I find all of the people are very down to earth. And
I'm definitely going to pop in the next time I drive through.
thank you. I look forward.
Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.